Hello, everyone. Welcome from across this gorgeous planet. We are one church, many paths, one mountain, where our mission is what Barbara Marx Hubbard and Dr. Mark Goffney call the planetary awakening in love through unique self symphony. And together we declare that the last day of the old face of evolution is honored as the first day of the new face of creation. Wow. I am Christina Amelong, the co-executive director, along with Kirsten Zohar, and I'm so delighted to be here with everyone today. I welcome all the new people. Please do share that you are new in the chat box. We so want to hear from you. When you do chat to everyone by checking that your chat settings say all panelists and attendees and not just all panelists. Use the chat function to say hi, to let us know where you're from, and to resonate the Dharma. In one church, many paths, one mountain. We are connected, we are whole, and we're expressions of the entire process of creation. We are activating a new species, and we are awakening. We are activating a new humanity, and we are awakening as a new species. Homo amor, the fulfillment of Homo sapiens. We are a church, a synagogue, a mosque, a temple, a zendo. We are all of it. No one is excluded. Everyone is included. And we come together to attune to the evolutionary impulse awakening within us. Welcome home, everyone. We're overjoyed to be with you today in week 190. Wow. Let everyone know about one church, many paths, one mountain. We are doing this primarily through word of mouth. Barbara talked about each of us having a family of 10 here in church, each of us tending our evolutionary family. And I can say for sure that leadership around church is an absolutely sacred opportunity. On YouTube, we are one church, many paths, one mountain. On Facebook, we are facebook.com/onechurch.world. And we are live right now on Facebook, so do take a moment and share from your notifications the live link on your Facebook page. After church, we will send you an email to invite your friends and family, and forward that email right after church. Spend time on our website, www.onechurch.world. On the top menu of the home page or on the bottom of each page, you'll find our membership link. With that, I give you a little bit of what to expect over this next hour. We begin with the Dharma recap, and then Dr. Mark sets our intention. Then David resonates the evolutionary love code that we're working with. And then we move into prayer, then our sermons, and then we close and bring everyone on for our goodbyes. Mark wrote what he called evolutionary love codes. Mark and Barbara studied those codes together, often comparing them to Barbara's own 52 codes for conscious self-evolution. Those codes grew out of their radical commitment over 100 collective years, crystallizing the new story of humanity. Quote, evolving the course of consciousness and culture, which is the source code of love, unquote. A lot of the main teachings in church are also in books by Dr. Mark Goffney and Barbara Marx Hubbard. For instance, A Return to Eros, the radical experience of being fully alive. This is a radically inspiring and important book that can help all of us recognize more deeply how love's energy literally drives reality. Each church is a standalone, and every week's church builds on the week before. One church, Many Paths, One Mountain is radically committed to telling the new story. Here goes my Dharma recap from last week. From conspiracy to the great conspiring of reality towards goodness, truth, and beauty. We're at this moment in history, which is a phase shift. The tectonic plates of reality itself are shifting under us. The sense-making and culture that is done is basically different versions of conspiracy theory. There are bad guys, there are good guys, there are victims, there are protectors. And underneath, there's a feeling, there's a larger plot line to reality that we're out of touch with. Conspiracy theories are old, and the reasons we're attracted are similar. When you're not connected to the true eros of reality. Eros begins literally with subatomic particles. In the first nanoseconds of the Big Bang, Eros is the natural movement of reality, the inherent movement of reality towards ever deeper contact and ever greater wholeness. The universe feels, and the universe feels desire. When Eros is alive in you, it's the Eros of reality living in you. It's the experience of being radically alive. It has a direction. It's moving somewhere. Where is it moving? Reality is moving towards more and more value, moving to create ever deeper contact, ever wider intimacies, which means we are awake and alive as expressions of the entire process of creation. Whenever Eros breaks down, ethics always break down. We act out in pseudo-Eros to cover the emptiness, to cover the pain. We do it with all forms of addiction, all forms of acting out, all forms of ethical breakdown. The win-lose metrics becomes exponentialized and pathological. The people that rise to the top of the systems are the most brutal, apex predators willing to deploy manifold forms of pseudo-eros, which is tragic beyond imagination. When you de-story the universe, you get pseudo-story, you get conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory is prominent because we've lost touch with the great story of reality. Real information is information and meaning together. Information genuinely is the codes of meaning of cosmos, the codes of intimacy. There are no ultimate devils, only elites trapped in the field along with everyone else. We step out of the field of contraction by stepping into the field of outrageous love, of intimate possibilities. We do this by changing the simple rules that govern the field. This is the democratization of enlightenment. We love each other madly. We're not embarrassed by it. We feel each other. We feel the mandate of our mission to be activists of revolutionary love, to ontologize love, to understand and teach and create books and great libraries, and to penetrate culture with the knowing that love is real and that reality is not a fact, it's a story. No one's alone and no one's left out. We reject the status quo of slavery. We reject the status quo of yesterday. We reject the systems which leads inexorably towards breakdown. Our crisis is a birth, an evolutionary driver, accentuating and accelerating the natural movement of evolution itself, and that the natural movement of evolution is the evolution of love. We live in an amorous cosmos filled with meaning from the very beginning. The utter joy of being able to come together in this one church, many paths, one mountain, and to engage for the sake of the evolution of the source code, to engage in sense making, to begin to repair our broken information ecologies, and to literally become an information ecology ourselves. With that, I invite us to more deeply enter into the holy and sacred space of one church, and I turn my word to you, beloved Dr. Mark.
Thank you, Taheli. The world's been burning, right, in the last 24 hours, and the world's been burning the last months, and the world's been burning the last years, but sometimes something happens and you cry for all the times you never cried before. Every time when I really cry, I'm crying for all the times we never cried before. And sometimes we see an injustice, right? Sometimes we see the knee of injustice at the neck of love itself, at the neck of the vulnerable. And we see it blatantly in front of us. It may be happening all the time. It may be happening every day around the world, but sometimes we see it. The knee of unlove, the knee of cruelty, the knee of rage, the knee of abused power at the neck of the goddess herself. And we scream. And we scream for all the times we've never screamed before. And in that moment of screaming, we have to hold a vision, right? Of the particular and gorgeous man, right? Who screamed, "I can't breathe." And let's hold him in honor. George Floyd. George Floyd. And let's feel it in our bodies, right? Feel what it means to say, "I can't breathe." Oh my God. And what is the sense making that we have to do here? What is the fixing that we have to do here? Right? What is the heart aching? What is the gasping for breath that we have to do here as we are witness to the knee of cruelty, the knee of unlove in the neck of the goddess, in the neck of she? And I want to say one thing just to start. And I know it might be unpopular to some of you, and it might be hard to hear, and it might be politically incorrect, but it needs to be said. There's no one outside the circle, right? This is a time to stand together, and there's no one outside the circle. There's no one. There is no black, there is no white, there is no brown, right? There is no yellow. And we're going to stand for African Americans who are in pain and who are abused by injustice. And we're going to stand for white males around the world who are in pain and abused by injustice. We're going to stand for Jews, and we're going to stand for brown people who are encased in India, who are lynched and raped, right, by the local case system even today. Brown people against brown people. There is no one outside the circle. Right? That is the point. Enlightenment means intimacy with all things and all people and all animals and all of reality. No one's outside the circle. The knee of injustice, the knee of unlove, only goes to break the neck and to squeeze the breath out of people who are placed outside of the circle. And we choke the dignity of those outside of the circle. And we choke the tears, right, of those outside of the circle. Right? There is no one outside of the circle. There is no one outside of the circle. Oh my God. There are no two groups of human beings. There are no two groups of beings, but let's stay with human beings for a second now. right? There are no two groups of human beings. There's not the white and the black, the Jew and the not Jew, the Indian and the Pakistani, right? The Chinese, right, against Taiwan, or the interior horrors, meaning the opposite of love, meaning horrific, the horrors of China, right, in which groups of Chinese are against each other. There is no us and them. There is no in-group and out-group. The horror of history is in-groups and out-groups. Everybody through history has known that love matters and love is real. And through most of history, people have said love matters to those in our in-group, to those who are in the circle, but to those who are outside the circle, who are stranger, right, who are infidel, right, whose neck I can't feel and whose breath I can't feel. And when they say and scream, I can't breathe, right, we say to them, what's the matter with you? What do you want? And we choke their dignity, and we choke their tears, and we choke their soul. There are no two groups of people in the world. There is only one. There is no binary split in this world. There is only one. And there's only, right, if there are two groups of people, there's only two groups of people, and they're like this. The people that have integrity, the people that stand for love and justice, and the people that don't have integrity. But here's the story. None of us are in either group. In every second and every day, we choose which group we're going to be part of. Every day we're deciding, where am I? Am I in the circle of love and integrity? Right? Wow. And as Martin Luther King said, and even those people outside the circle of love and integrity, we will deal with love and integrity. We will not lynch the lynchers. We will bring them to fair trial. We will not, as I said in Israel time again, right? We will not blindly kill terrorists. We will bring them to trial, right? We will stand for justice. We will be justice, right? And justice, right? Like a great and mighty tide. And there is no justice without love, and there is no love without justice. The two are inseparable. They are radically inter-included. There is no love without justice, and there is no justice without love. And this mighty tide of love and justice will sweep the land because we stand in integrity. And when we say we stand in integrity, I want to get this clear, right? That means something for all of us. And that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk today not about this moment of psychopathy, right? Enough has been said about that, and more needs to be said, right? And the act of evil that we saw, because it was an act of evil. And it was actually a person who was in a car who was pulled out of a car. Right? It wasn't in the heat of a scuffle. A person was deliberately pulled out of a car, and another person went into rage, and that rage overtook their humanity, right? In those 9 minutes, in those 9 very long minutes, and in the humanity of those who were watching and who stood by. Wow. But to pour scorn, right, to pour hatred into the obvious evil is not going to take us home. To hold to radical accountability. Justice is real. Yes, justice is real, and justice must be served. But to focus all of our energy on the demonization of an obvious act, of a moment of psychopathy, of sociopathy, of horror, is to mistake this moment. To mistake this moment, I want to ask you a hard question, if I can, with so much love. And I ask myself this question. We ask ourselves this question. Wow, when have we choked injustice? When have we choked the tears of those we've placed outside of the circle? Wow, that's a harder question. When have we failed to stand for love and justice, as we've had to choose every single day, right? Where do we stand? That's our question. And this is not a church about making us feel bad. This is a church about feeling our glory and our beauty and our gorgeousness. And it's about confessing our greatness, because it's only our greatness, it's only our gorgeousness that calls us to our godness, that calls us to our accountability. Right? The question is, where in your life, and I want to just say this clearly, right? What is your, we're going to come back to this again and again today. I'm going to say it 10 times and you say it. And we'll say it to each other and we'll sing it together and we'll laugh it together. But the laughter of the gods that becomes tears and then, right, transcends again, right, into initiated action of transformation, right? And here's the sentence. Ready? If anyone wants to write it down, it'd be awesome, right? Right? And if you don't want to write it down, it's awesome too. But this is just so we can stay together. Okay, here's the question today. Okay, here's the question. Are we ready? Right? When and where, right? Where is your and mine, right? Where's your unique risk for justice and love? That's the question. You get the question? Where is your unique risk for justice and love? Do you get, that's the question. Where in my life do I have to stand? Right? So if I ask some abstract question about racism, but I actually have no way to impact that, so I'm just engaging in a white woke person exercise. The question's specific, it's clear. It is the unique self question. Who are you? Right? You're a unique self. It means you're part of the field. I'm part of the field. We're part of the field of love intelligence and love desire. But that's not a conjecture. That's for realsies. That's who we are. And who are you? You're an irreducibly unique expression of the love intelligence and love beauty and love desire. That is the initiating and animating energy of all that is, that lives in you, as you, and through you. And as such, you have a unique risk to take for justice and love. And as such, you have an irreducible, unique perspective and a unique quality of intimacy that fosters your ability to take your unique risk for justice and love in your unique circle and intimacy and influence, right? We all have our reasons for not doing it, don't we? Right? You get that, friends? There's always a reason. You know, do you remember Pastor Martin Niemöller? Who remembers him? Pastor Martin Niemöller. He's writing in 1946 after the Holocaust, and he was a good friend of Dietrich Bonhoeffer. And Bonhoeffer writes Churchill, and he says there's Germans ready to rise up, and Churchill ignores him. He doesn't believe him. And Bonhoeffer is killed in the concentration camps. He's one of the great human beings, right, of World War II. Are you with me? Can you hear this? Okay. So his friend, Pastor Martin Niemöller, he didn't speak up. He didn't speak up for his friend Dietrich. He found a way not to. He found a way to somehow not be there. And he writes in 1946, he writes a confession, and I want to read it to you with your permission, okay? He writes, first they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, and I didn't speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me. And there was no one left to speak out for me. Right? First they came for my friend Jack, and then they came for Lily, and then they came for Mark, right? And then they came for Tom. Right? And each person, right? I couldn't quite be there. I couldn't quite go all the way. Right? Not because I was a bad person, because I had all sorts of calculations. Right? I didn't want to offend this friend. I didn't want to offend my wife. I didn't want to offend my brother. Right? I would have had to give up a couple of friends. I might have given up some income. I might have become unpopular in a room and not loved and not felt that same sense of belonging. And I wasn't willing to make the sacrifice because it wasn't me. Right? And then another person, and then another person, and then another, right? Until they came for me, and there was no one left to speak up for me. Right? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. So David, right? Brother David, beloved, read us the code. Take us inside. Our hearts are open. Tears are streaming down our souls, right? But not of paralysis, but of activation. Take us inside, David.
Thank you, Dr. Mark. No one is outside the circle. It's so powerful. And as I read the code, let's look at all the times, as Dr. Mark is saying, when I stood for justice or I looked away from injustice. I'm looking back in my own life right now, and it brings tears to my eyes, tears of joy, tears of ecstasy, and tears of agony. So this code it's new, but it's not new, right? It's a crystallization of Dr. Mark's teaching today, and also a result of decades and decades of deep mystical study. So let's go inside, friends. Let's find that desire for justice. I know I feel my heart burning right now. My heart's burning for passion and for justice in this situation, especially. Here's this week's evolutionary love code. There are only two groups of people in this world. People who are in integrity, standing for being, love, and justice, and those who are not. And none of us belong to either group. In every minute, we choose again and again which group we are part of. And there is no love without justice, and no justice without love. I'll resonate it one more time. There are only two groups in the world. People who are in integrity, standing for and being love and justice, and those who are not. And none of us belong to either group. In every minute, we choose again which group we are part of. And there is no love without justice. And there is no justice without love. And I turn my word back to you, Dr. Mark.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David. Amor, right? Love is real. Amor. So take us inside, Christina Amlon, right? And let's offer this amor as prayer, right? And let's dare to activate our love, and let's dare to activate our pain, and let's dare to activate our joy, and to cry out of one side of our mouth, and to be in the radical, accountable responsibility of action. As I begin, and we're going to turn to each other, and we're going to work together in the chat box. And our question is, what is my unique risk? What is my unique risk to stand for love and justice? So it starts with love, right? There is no justice without love. Justice is an expression, right? A handmaiden, right? Justice is the wife, right? The great lover of love, right? So let's take us inside. Amor. Its insides are aligned with love all the way like never before.
Amor, 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 amor.
Amor. And friends, we're going to pray today. But let's bring to our prayer, right, our sense making. And our sense making is our love. It's our sensuality. It's our feeling of this moment. So I want to, with your permission, okay, and we're going to get to prayer, right, to the holy and the broken hallelujah. And I want to ask everyone so gently, right, can you be with us, right? Can we, friends, with all our hearts and souls, right, with everything we've got, like we've never been together before, okay? And let's stand here. Let's be here together like we've never been together before, okay? Wow. So I want to go a couple of steps with you, okay? A couple of steps, and I've been feeling into this morning with you. Right? One church, many paths, one mountain. Right? We're participating in the evolution of love. We've got to download into reality first principles, basic distinctions that allow us to evolve the field from the field of contraction that inexorably leads, right, to the Nirvana love, in the neck of she, in the neck of the goddess, neck of the vulnerable, the neck of all those we've placed outside of the circle. We need to articulate a new set of shared first principles in which we realize that that which unites us is so much greater than anything which divides us. And we have to find our way, and we have to feel into this moment. So I want to go a couple of steps with you, okay? With your permission. So first, I want to say something that Van Jones said, right? That was important, right? And Van Jones and I don't know each other. We have mutual friends, right? He's an activist in the African American community, and he was talking about that sense of, he talked about the white woke woman, right, or some language like that, right, who's standing against racism. But, there she is in Central Park, and there's a black man, and she calls the police and says, "There's a black man here, I'm afraid." Right? And how quickly the virus of racism enters, and how quickly, right, race gets weaponized. It's a big deal. Right? We've got to take risks. We've got to take risks to actually get to that place where we look at the content of a person's character and not the color of their skin, as Martin Luther King said, and right, that steamy day in August, right, in 1963, and we'll see Martin Luther King today. I want to tell you a story if I can. Okay? Right, and we got to be courageous, right, and it's not easy, and sometimes we put our lives at stake. I was 19 years old, and I was teaching in New York City, and on the Upper West Side. Maybe I was 20, right, and I was, a student, and I had been asked to give a little talk, as students often are. So I gave my little talk. Maybe I was 20. God, I'm trying to remember, 21, whenever it was. And I talked about this idea. I quoted Martin Luther King's speech. And I talked about this idea of, and racism was obviously as much of a topic then, about this idea that even though we claim to have moved beyond racism, right, but then when we see a black man, right, walking and seeing us, right, in a place we feel vulnerable, we react completely differently. Right? And right, there's an enormous amount of pain in that. There's an enormous amount of pain in that. Like, wow. And so I was walking across the West Side, and I had to get to the East Side, right, at that time. Right. And I was going to walk down to 59th Street and then walk down, right, 59th Street's a major, right, thoroughfare, and get there and then walk back uptown. But as I get to Central Park West, right, an African American man, a black man, comes over to me, right, and says, right, "Hey, can I have the time, brother?" Right, and I said, "Sure." And I was scared because it was dusk, right, and he wanted the time, and I said, "I think it's about whatever time it is." He said, "Well, don't you have a watch? Look at your watch." I said, "Sure, I have a watch." I looked at my watch, and I said to myself, "You know what? I've got to be this person that I'm claiming we should be." And he says to me, like in that second, as that's going through my head, he said, hey, brother, you want to walk through the park with me? I said, "Sure." Right, my heart quaking. So we walked through the park. Right, and we talked and we laughed and we told stories, and and it was just this wildly beautiful walk through the park. Right, wow. And we got to the other side of the park. Right, we're now on, right, Fifth Avenue on the other side of the park. And he said, "Hey man, I got to walk down to Madison. Walk me down." I said, "Sure." We're walking somewhere around 77th, 78th, between 5th and Madison. And in one split second, I'm on the ground. I have a knife to my throat. And he said to me, "The Jews killed my brother in Crown Heights, and I'm going to kill you now." I said something, whatever it was, something like, something crazy, saying, "Let's get on a train right now. Let's go to Crown Heights and let's find who did it." right? And let's actually hold him accountable for justice. He kind of looked at me, right? I thought I was going to die. He gets up. He laughs. He says, "You're cool," and walks away. Now, if you want me to explain to you that story, I can't. I'm not going to draw a moral from the story, right? I'm not going to make it easy, right? Right? I'm not going to justify what he did by saying he was in so much pain, right? Right? I'm going to say, oh my God, right? There are impossibilities in the world. There are impossibilities in the world, right? And there are risks we take to love each other. And sometimes we have to put our lives on the line to love each other, right? Sometimes we've got to sacrifice our safety for a moment to love each other. And I don't know, but I hope I'd walk through the park again today, right? Because, just fucking because, right? So hold this with me, right? You're gonna be here with me in this, okay? It's hard. It's hard, right? It's hard. You get that? It's hard. It's not easy. It's not simple. There's not easy formulas. And in every second we make a decision, right? Am I on the side of love and justice? And I'm not suggesting you walk through the park and not walk through the park. That's your decision. I'm not suggesting you don't stay safe. All of us, every black, white, brown, yellow, and purple person in the world should stay safe. Of course, we should stay safe. But oh my God, we've got to take risks, right? What's my unique risk for love and justice, right? In my unique circle of intimacy and influence, and in that moment, at 19 or 20 or 21, right, on Central Park West, in the Upper West Side of New York, that was my unique risk. And I could have died for it, right? And am I willing to stand, right? And I don't think for most of us, that's what our unique risk is, right? I'm not even sure that I did the right thing. Who the heck knows? But we do have a unique risk, and it is a risk. And I might have to give up some friends, and I might have to give up some income, and I might have to give up some social status, right? But there is a unique risk. And so I want to ask you a question, and I want to ask you a question, right, with a broken heart, right? Right? Are we willing, right, to take our unique risk? Did you get that? Are we willing to take our unique risk? Right? Are we willing to take our unique risk? So if you've got a yes to this question, but it's a real yes, okay? And you might not know what it is, but if you're willing, right, don't write yes yet. If you're willing to look at your life, and I'll look at my life this week, and we'll look together, and we'll say, right, to honor George Floyd, right? To honor Floyd, George Floyd, right? This gorgeous human being, right? To honor this human being, right? To honor every human being whose life has been choked out, right? We're going to actually respond by becoming love and justice ourselves. So if we're willing to do that, if you're willing to look, and I'm willing to, and I'll do it with you, I'm committed with you right now. Are you willing? Are we willing to look at our lives this week and say, I'm going to take my unique risk for love and justice? And justice matters. Justice matters. Justice is hallowed ground. So if you're willing, write in, yes, I am willing. If you're willing, right? Yes, I am willing. If you're willing, yes, I am willing, right? If you're willing, in this moment, this is hallowed ground. This is the activation of the field, right? This is the new first principle. And let's understand, friends, let's understand. We all recognize justice, and this is really important. How do we recognize justice, right? If you're willing, keep writing, I am willing. And if you wrote it once and you feel it again, write it again, so we can feel a cascading cacophony, right, of love and justice echoing through the world in which we're not just talking. We're not being right. We're saying, yes, I am willing this week to activate myself as love and justice and to take my unique risk, right, for love and justice, right? And I'm like, oh my God. So feel this with me, okay? How do we know that justice is real? Right? How do we know justice is real? Do you know justice is real because you see it with your eyes? No. Do you know justice is real because you hear it with your ears? No. Right? With the physical sensory. Do you know justice is real because you smell it with the how do you call it? Olfactory, right? The olfactory, right? The sense of smell? No. Right? Do you know that justice is real because you touch it with your physical body? No. Do you know justice is real because you taste it? No. You know justice is real is because we have a deeper sensory capacity, because we're more than mere bodies. Right? You know justice is real because you taste it with your soul. You know justice is real because you smell it with your soul. You know justice is real because you see it with your heart. You know justice is real because you hear it with your heart. You know justice is real because you touch it with your heart. Right? Right? You know, one of the ways we know that we don't die, because when we die, right, we die, right? We die. There's death for sure. But death is a night between 2 days. And one of the ways we know that death is a night between 2 days, right? We know because we actually have, right, knowing, epistemic intimacy. I know, not through my physical body, right? We all know that this was injustice. Why do we know? Why do we know it's wrong? Well, we don't say it's subjective. We don't say it's merely relative. We don't say that it's just a social construction. We recognize justice. And we recognize that justice is hallowed ground. And we recognize that justice and love. How do we know that? Why are we so sure of that? You see, if it wasn't an intimate universe, nothing wrong would have happened that day, yesterday in Minneapolis. It would just be another predatory moment. But it's not. It's a violation of the essential nature of reality. It's a violation not just of values that last, it's a violation of eternal values of love and justice that are backed by the universe. And we're all together in this. We all see with the same eyes and we all hear with the same ears, whether they're black or brown or yellow or green or purple. And we all smell with the same nose, right? And we all touch with the same hands. We all taste with the same tongue, right? There's no one outside of the circle. So that's justice. Okay, let's just get justice. Right, let's bring justice deep into the center here, okay? Deep into the center, and let's hear what it means. It's not about anyone outside the circle. Martin Luther King, Christina Amelin, right, take us inside. All right, let's hear this. Let's hear what this feels like, right? And if you're watching now the replay, so just take a look at your YouTube and look, right beneath the video, you'll see a clip. And you can press this clip right now, right, of Dr. Martin Luther King. Bring it inside. So Martin Luther King, and yes, Enoch, it was 60 years ago, and it wasn't enough. It was crucial at that time. And he's passed the baton to us. And Martin Luther King was an imperfect vessel for the light. He was an imperfect man. He was a complicated man, and he was a beautiful man. And today in our internet culture, he would have gotten attacked and demonized and dehumanized and destroyed. So let's actually pick up his baton. And his baton was gorgeous, but it wasn't enough for today, Enocha, right? Because actually, right, in the 60s, before postmodernity swept and deconstructed reality, we actually had a shared sense of what was the good and what was the true and what was the beautiful. And we could appeal to that sense. And that sense has been undermined. And so what we need to do today is to tell a new story. Right? Martin Luther King was gorgeously relying on the best of the old story, but that story is not enough. Right? We need a new story, and a new story of unique self, and a new story of love, not ordinary love, but outrageous love. And that's what you could feel in his voice. He was drawing on that outrageous love. We need a new story of the universe, which is the universal love story, the amorous cosmos. We need a new story of relationship, which is from roommate to soulmate to wholemate, where we're holding hands and sharing a vision. We need to actually sweep reality like Da Vinci did, with a new set of principles that are the first principles that activate the evolution of love. Martin Luther King did the exact right thing at his moment and at his time. And it was his place and it was his speech. And we are with him and we are holding him. And now it's our turn. And we do it in two ways. But I want to first get this. It's our turn. Can we get that, friends? Who's up for that? Who's up for that? If you're up for it, then just write it. It's our turn. Right? It's our turn, guys. Right? It's our turn. It's our obligation. It's our moment. It's our moment where we have to stand. And Martin Luther King walked across Central Park and he risked and he took his unique risk. We can't just watch him and applaud. And we can't just be woke white people or woke black people or woke Jews or woke purple people, right? Having our, right? Expiating our guilt by being woke. We have to step into the circle of our lives, right? And be the light, right? And be the cascading wave, right, of justice and love by taking our unique risk. And there's two ways to do it, okay? And let's go in deep here, right, for one more second, okay? And it's now 10:58, and we're going to try and finish at about 11:15, okay? And we're not going to do a second, a little bit later, we're not going to do a second talk today. So it's going to be a much shorter day. So if you can stay with us and let's be with it. Let's be with George Floyd. Let's be with George. Let's be with each other, right? Let's be with each other, right? All the way. Right? And let's go another step. There's two ways to take my unique risk, right? And there's four issues at play here. We've talked about one. We've talked about justice. We've talked about love. We've talked about love and justice being inextricable from each other. And if anyone can, just take the code and let's put it in the chat box so we can see the code. But there's two other issues here, and we can't get there without it. One is, right, so there's justice and love. That's the first two. Three is there's power. We need to talk about power for a second. And four is there's rage, right? There's power, right, and there's rage. And so I want to understand with you, and this is going to get, right, with total apologies, right, but with mad love, right? Let's do the sense making for real, right? Why is this story so evil? The story is evil because, right, something happens, right? George Floyd gets in a car, right? We see the sense he's gotten in the car. That's what, right? And then he's pulled out again. Right? And we weren't in the car, but probably what happened is, right? He was drunk, right? And we all have a right to get drunk, right? And he probably said something that offended Derek, right? He got insulted. And then Derek triggers into a rage, okay? And I want to go into the heart of that, but he triggers into a rage. And in that rage, right, he loses for 9 minutes his humanity, right? So to take my unique risk is the way I work with power and rage. That's the first step, okay? I remember when, right, I first started, right, being in a kind of deeper relationship with Christina Kincaid, right, who's my partner today, right? And we would have a hard moment. And I remember calling KK and saying to KK, right, I promise you, I'm never going to hold out and not call you back immediately and kind of hold power and wait 2 hours to call you back or wait a day to call you back or not return your calls because, right, or wait 15 minutes because I want you to actually feel the hardness of this moment. We had some hard moments. And she cried, right? She cried the most beautiful tears in the world, said, oh my God, right? And in that moment, we said, we're never going to use power over each other, right? It's a subtle power. I cannot call you back for 15 minutes. And in me not calling you back for 15 minutes, I am in some very real way choking your dignity. And I'm choking your breath. And you're waiting there breathless for me to call back, or I'm waiting there breathless for you to call back. We can do it to each other. And I'm holding power. And there are a billion ways we subtly hold power. I know you're vulnerable. I know you're vulnerable for this reason or for that reason. So I'm going to attack you in this way, or I'm going to say this or do that because I actually have the power and you don't have the dignity. You don't have the dignity because you don't have economic possibility, because you're worried about paying the rent. You don't have the dignity because you're vulnerable because you've been attacked before. You don't have the dignity because, and I'm going to play on my power. Right? There is nothing more heinous. There is nothing which is more unloved than actually using my power to make another person feel less human than the gorgeousness that they are. So I said to KK, right, love, I'm never going to use power. I'm always going to call you back. And KK said, I'm never going to use power. Right? We're going to take power out. Right? And I remember there was a moment, right? You know, we were in the middle of writing books and we had a particularly hard, and everyone has hard moments. Who doesn't have hard moments? Right? We had a particularly hard moment, right? And I said to KK, I said, love, you know, whatever you do, right? Like you're totally right, of course, right? But here's what I promise you. We're doing all these books together. This was a bunch of years ago. I said, all the books we've done are always yours and they're always shared, right? And everything I have is always yours, no matter what. There's no power, right? Wow, right? Wow. And we created structures. We actually created formal structures, right, between us in which we both fully surrendered power to each other, right? And it's not that power has beautiful expressions, but there's a form of power. Power can be beautiful and gorgeous, right? God is the infinity of power. But there's a form of power which actually comes from desperation, which comes from narcissism, which comes from self-hatred, right? Which is abusive. And in that power which abuses, right? We all know what it is. So the first unique risk, right, that I take is that when I'm in rage, right, when I'm in rage, that's when it happens, when I'm hurt, when I'm insulted, right? And that insult turns into rage, I don't act out and abuse my power and put my knee at someone else's throat and choke off their life and their soul in all the ways that we do it. And rage is not easy, my friends, and we all know it. So let's make this real. Let's make this real. I want to see rage now. I want to see rage. Remember Adam Driver, right? Christina Amelon, are you with us, love? Remember Adam Driver? He played also Kylo Ren in Star Wars. He did a movie called Marriage Story. He did a movie called Marriage Story. And if you're watching the replay, take a look right below the video and you'll see a clip, and stop for a second and put that clip on, which we're going to watch right now. And let's just see what rage looks like. Let's just see what it looks like, because we got to actually see what it looks like. It's got to get real. This has got to get real, friends. So here's a sentence, friends. Here's a sentence. This is our sentence, okay? Evil is when I use power to avoid transformation. Evil is when I abuse power to avoid transformation. Can we get that sentence? Evil is when I abuse power to avoid transformation. Right? And right, I want to understand that. But here's a moment, right? And it's beyond horror, right? Right? It's there's no right. It's like George Floyd is in the back of a car and he's drunk and he says something and Derek is insulted and he flies into a rage. And at that moment, we know what rage is. We know what rage is. But actually talking about how horrible Derek is, right? Derek committed murder and Derek committed suicide at the same moment. Right? Right? Derek committed suicide. Right? Like, oh my God. Right? But let's talk about ourselves. Right? Power, right? Right? Power. Right? The abuse of power. Right? Evil is, here's the sentence, okay? Evil is when I abuse power to avoid transformation. And at that moment where I am insulted, and do you know why we get insulted by other people? I want to get this with me, okay? We get insulted by other people because, oh my God, right? Another person is an entire huge world. Another person is God incarnate, right? And I feel wounded and I don't feel whole, and you said something that went into me and you insult me, right? And all the hurt of my life and all the rage of my life and all the pain and all the being systematically misrecognized and all of feeling that reality is not attuned to me and all of feeling degraded and all of feeling not enough. And I feel not safe, right? And I feel like my very breath is in danger, so I'm enraged, right? And when I'm enraged, right, my attention focuses and I can't see the rest of the world anymore, right? And I become blind and the rage takes me over, right? Love is not blind, rage is blind, right? Oh my God. And then that's the moment. And in that moment, either I'm going to be reborn, right? Either I'm going to become love. I'm going to step inside to that rage and I'm going to find my tears, right? In the original Hebrew, the word for rage and the word for love are the same word, chom, right? Mad passion, right? Mad rage and mad love. They're the same, right? I reach into the rage and I feel my pain and I trace back to the root of the pain and I actually step out of the abuse of power and I become the power of love. Right? I step out of the abuse of power and I become the power of love, right? Evil is when I abuse power to avoid my transformation. And the unique risk is no one's going to call me on it. You remember the Dharma of unique risk? Who remembers it, right? The Dharma of unique risk is that there's no one to call you on it. There's no one to tell you that you've got to do it. Your unique risk is always in private. You got a million reasons, right? You got a million reasons. Right? I mean, what's that passage we read before? Where is it? Right? Where is it? Right? You've got a million reasons. They came for the socialists. I didn't speak out. I wasn't a socialist. They came for the trade unionists. They came for the communists. They came for the Jews. And I had a million reasons why I had to protect my interest. I wanted to do good in the world. There's a million reasons why people participated with Joe McCarthy and blacklisted people and didn't stand for their friends and didn't stand for justice and didn't stand in integrity, or found some flaw in a person like we could with Martin Luther King or with any of us and demonize them because it was convenient for us, who allowed us to avoid taking our unique risk. Right? There's no one who's going to tell us, right? You got to do it. Your unique risk comes from the depth of your love, from the depth of my love, from the depth of your integrity, right? From the depth of my integrity. Evil, I'm going to say it with your permission, and we're going to go into prayer, and we're going to close with prayer, right? Evil is when I abuse power to avoid my transformation. And my transformation is the transformation of the whole thing. My transformation is not just my personal local life. It's not just my personal hero's journey. And this is the second point. The second point is I am evolution, right? I am the leading edge of evolution, right? The evolutionary impulse is alive and awake in me. And the only question I ever need to ask myself is, what does evolution, what does reality need from me in the next moment? But there's a subset to that question. There's an implied text in that inquiry, which is what transformation? It's not just me acting out there. Yes, I've got to be an activist. Yes. And Chris is going to tell us about it, right? I should join and step in and, right, and step up in every way I can, right? And I should put my resources and my energy and everything I have down on the line. Yes. And at the same time, the evolutionary impulse always moves towards transformation. The definition scientifically of evolution is a series of transformations. And when I say I am evolution, I understand that my transformation at that leading edge, where I'm there with Adam Driver in that scene, and who hasn't been in that scene with Adam Driver? I've been there. Is there anyone who hasn't been in that scene? Or where you're just like, you're desperate. You're just desperate. You're desperate. Right? Who hasn't been he and who hasn't been she at some moment, at some time in your life? Right? That's the rage. That's rage. And when I go into that rage and when I find my transformation, right? As thank God, many of us, I've been privileged to do it 1,000 times. Many of you have been privileged to do it 1,000 times, and I want to do it 1,000 more times. But when I go into that rage and I transform that rage into a new love of myself, I trace my pain back to its root. I trace my friend's pain back to his root or to her root, and we find each other again. And we fall on the ground and wrap my arms around my beloved's knees. My beloveds all over the world, we're all each other's beloveds. We're all always already friends, right? There are no strangers, right? There's no one left out of the circle, right? Evil is when I abuse power to avoid my transformation, which is the transformation of the whole, which is my unique transformation that can only be accomplished by me. And to be an erotic mystic, to be an evolutionary mystic, to stand for the evolution of love, right, is to actually be that transformation. And there I am, I'm loading the dishwasher, right? And my partner tells me, don't load the dishwasher that way, load it this way. And I feel this rage rising inside of me and I want to storm out of the room, right? Rage is triggered by 1,000 different things. It's not rational. It's not pretty, right? Doesn't make sense, right? It's when I can't find myself, I can't feel, and I don't have a sense of my unique self. I don't have a sense of my unique dignity. And I feel commodified, right? And I feel like I'm not needed by the world in some fundamental way. And I can't feel my own beauty and I haven't confessed my greatness. Then rage lurks in the shadows, right? We need a new source code, right? We need a new set of first principles. So friends, we're going to pray together and Chris is going to talk to us about outrageous love and about being activists together and standing for the evolution of love. But let's pray together, right? Let's pray for George Floyd. And yes, I'm going to say it. And let's pray for Derek Chauvin. They're not the same and there's no equivalence, right? At all, whatsoever. Right? Dennis Chauvin, right? Committed murder and suicide at the same time, right? And justice needs to be served. And no one's outside the circle. And that doesn't mean there's not distinctions. Of course there's distinctions, but no one's outside the circle. It's not bad white men. It's not bad men. It's not bad women. Do you know what racism is? And we'll take this into prayer. Here's what racism is. Racism is anybody. This is what Martin Luther King said, that I judge by the color of their skin or the nature of their gender. Men are bad, women are good. Women are bad, men are good. Jews, blacks, whites, it doesn't matter. When I stop looking at the actual person and the real situation and the particularities of it, when I stop gathering the fact, when I stop being able to feel you, then intimacy is dead. Right? Then the intimate universe dies, right? When I literally put my knee on the neck of the intimate universe. So my friends, thank you for this transformation we've done here together. And thank you for being willing to pray. Right? We'll pray together. We'll drop on our knees, but let's drop on our knees to fix the dropping on the knee that we saw. That was a horror for the whole world. Let's drop on our knees like Adam Driver did. Right? Two images of dropping on the knee. Let's drop on our knee like Adam Driver did. And let's turn our rage into a deeper love than we ever felt before. Let's cry for all the times we've never cried before. Let's be love and justice for all the times we've never been love and justice before. And let's bring our holy and our broken hallelujah before the divine. So I'm going to ask those of you who can, if someone has to go, I know we're over time, totally good, but if you can, right? Like with all our heart, everything, let's change the source code. Let's be the activation now. Let's go. Leonard Cohen, take us inside. We're going to pray and Krista's going to finish us. Okay. So we're holding hands around the world, right? Right. Evil is when I abuse power to avoid my transformation, and my transformation is needed by all that is. And no one's going to call me on it. And it never looks pretty, but I can reach inside and I can be someone so glorious. Gloria, right? Gloria. Right? I am the glory, right? I am the evolutionary impulse. Christina, I'm going to take us inside to the holy, right? And to the broken. Hallelujah.
Now I've heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. 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 didn't come to fool you. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah.
And pray for everyone and pray for everything, right? I pray, right? Tina, right? Tina offers prayer, David's prayer, right? Kirsten, right? Hallelujah, right? Every prayer, praying for George Floyd, this whole finds peace, for Derek, for transformation, for myself, for all, right? From Mosa, I pray that love and responsibility transform me to love, right? Jacqueline, I pray for the courage to take my unique risk for justice, right? And love, Tina. I pray for my friend, right? Israel, that he gets better, right? Every prayer, Nathan, I pray that I have clarity where to create a healing center, right? Yes, Nathan, right? Yes, Nathan. Nathan, find me this week. Let's find each other. Brother, right? Suzette, I pray for strength and humility to take my unique risk. Lynn, I pray for everyone to be loved and held in the circle of integrity. Oots, I pray for free breathing for all living beings. Terry, right? I'm Derek and I'm George, and I pray to love and be compassionate. Amen. Right? Krista, I pray that each and every being that is safe and held inside the circle. No one's outside the circle. Tom, Renee, I pray that I may turn towards transformation, not rage in each moment. Shahati, I pray for people always coming back and not to use their power over each other. Liraza, I pray for the courage and integrity to always stand for love and justice. Klaus, right? I pray for the whole world to hold hands together. Oriana, we're at your altar. I pray to open and receive more love than I can imagine from the world awakening in the one heart. Ross, Ann, Roseanne, welcome, Rose. Roseanne, welcome. I pray that Martin Luther King's dream become a reality in the world. Simona, I pray, right, for no one out of the circle and that we feel it and know it. Roger, welcome. I pray for the whole country is lifted in love and light and transformed, right, in love. Inika, I pray my rage to transform to submission, or maybe, Inika, if I can, with your permission, to surrender into your beauty and into your power. Claire, praying to use my power, right, for love and justice. Shad, I pray for all, right, being in the circle. Louise, I pray for courage to risk everything for love. Right? Oh my God, every prayer, right? Every prayer, right? For the sake of the evolution of love, right? And Krista, tell us right now in this moment, right? Adael and Raquel, right? In every prayer, right? We turn to Lady Krista and we're going to give you all of our attention and tell us what we can do, right? What does it mean to write an outrageous act of love, right? In our outrageous acts of love page, to stand for love and justice. What does it mean to join, right? To stand and to be activated as love. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God, friends. Oh my God, let's just hold hands. Let's breathe. Let's breathe. Let's breathe together. Let's take our unique risk for love and justice and know that there's only one evil. Evil is a failure of intimacy. Right? Evil is when I abuse my power to avoid my transformation. And I turn the word to Lady Krista. And I take us inside love. Holding hands. Krista.
Wow, thank you so much, Mark. And thank you everybody for being here with us and praying together and committing to standing for justice together. We have all made this commitment here together in the chat box. I stand for justice. And in one church, many paths, one mountain, we are standing for justice together by committing our outrageous acts of love. And right now, I want to invite you to actually go ahead and do that together, because online, the conversation right now is happening about what has happened in the world about George Floyd. And I want to actually contribute together to this conversation by responding to it. And this conversation is being held with hashtags online. People are using the hashtags I cannot breathe and hashtag George Floyd protests. So what would happen if all of us jump in that conversation and actually start answering with love? So what you can do together with us is finding that conversation online. You can search for those hashtags on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and actually respond with outrageous love. And right now I want to show you again the beautiful video that we have created of the Dharma of Dr. Mark Govney about how we are living in an intimate universe. And the only answer to outrageous pain is outrageous love. So again, we are going to look at 1 minute of this video together. And I want to invite you to right now go to the chat box or find this video below if you are watching the replay, and look at the beautiful video and copy the link and copy the text with it if you want, and use the hashtags hashtag I cannot breathe and hashtag George Floyd protest, and actually add the hashtag outrageous love to that. So let's just take a moment together to respond right now with outrageous love.
And that actually reality is.
Yes, Mark.
Is a love story, and that's not a fanciful conjecture. It's actually the true nature of reality itself. Reality is an intimate universe. And if you ask me why in an intimate universe do we have such unbearable beauty, such outrageous beauty, but also such outrageous pain? So stay with me, and this is the deepest Dharma in the world. If it wasn't an intimate universe, you get this, Terry? If it wasn't an intimate universe, we'd have no trouble with outrageous pain. We'd have no trouble with the world not being fair if the world wasn't supposed to be fair, right? The very notion inside of us that says that that which is not fair, that which is unloving, that which is petty, that which is contracted, that which is evil, that which causes suffering, the very revulsion we have deep in our hearts, right? The knowing in our hearts that that's not the way it should be, right? That itself is only a function of the intimate universe protesting against that which doesn't fulfill the inherent nature of reality. Evil is a failure of intimacy. If we don't live in an intimate universe, there's no reason to think there should ever be intimacy. There's no reason to think that it should ever be fair. There's no reason to think that it should ever be a world in which every human being's intrinsic dignity is affirmed and loved, in which every human story is.
Wow, and that goes on and on. Isn't that a beautiful and amazing video? And exactly, I'm asking all of us to be a band of outrageous lovers, to hold hands together and actually go online right now after church and find those conversations online by using those hashtags. So again, it is hashtag I cannot breathe, hashtag George Floyd protests. Find those conversations online and add to the conversation, share this video to the conversation, and write something like, the world is full of outrageous pain, but the only answer is outrageous love. Write something like, there is no one left out of the circle, and share the Dharma with these people. And let's create a wave of love, of outrageous love on the web together. For those of you who would love to get some more inspiration, some more loving, and actually meet each other face to face, every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, that is 8 p.m. European time, we are meeting as a community together in our outrageous love letter writing course. And as Mark said before, writing outrageous love letters is one of our main practices here at One Church, Many Paths, One Mountain. This course is led by Christina Amelong and by Christina Kincaid. You are so welcome to join. It's absolutely totally free and available for you. So I will, after this, post my email address in the chat box, and you can write me an email and I will send you all the information that you need to join. So I really hope to meet each other face to face there tomorrow. And of course, we share all of our outrageous love letters on our beautiful Facebook page. The Facebook page is, of course, called Outrageous Acts of Love. And we are sharing that link also in the chat box right now. You can go there and find all of our outrageous love letters, but also the stories of the outrageous acts of love that we have committed in our own unique corner of the world. So everybody is sharing here. As you can see, this is Tina. And we also have Tina, who has requested a prayer for our brother Israel, who is now tested positive for COVID-19. He is in quarantine. He feels ill and alone. So that was a beautiful example of an outrageous act of love, Tina. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And as you can see, there are many more. So come and look at them, and let's all like them and comment them to celebrate each other's greatness in the world. If you come to our Facebook page, please make sure that you click here on community, because this is where all of you can post. And I will repost all the posts so you can also find them here on the home page. And this is where admins can post. So if you want to make sure that you read and see everything, also check that out. And last but not least, our website, that is www.onechurch.world. And we are inviting you to be a part of One Church, Many Paths, One Mountain. We are a unique self-symphony here together. We are all serving outrageous love and sharing this Dharma in the world. And we really need your help. We need you to make your unique contribution. As Mark has said so beautifully, our money is our yearning. And exactly, we do need to put our money where our hearts is. And so I invite you to step into your power and actually to become a member of One Church. You can, of course, choose to make a one-time donation here by clicking on this button, but even better, step in, join us, and become a member. It starts from $25 a month, but you can, of course, also give way more, like $250 a month, as some people are doing, which is totally amazing. And if you do decide to become a member, you will gain access to our online community where we share and meet each other even more. And you also get the gift of getting access to these 9 beautiful online courses. All of these courses contain hours and hours of the Dharma of Dr. Mark Govney. So that is an amazing opportunity to dive deeper into the Dharma and actually integrate it into your daily life. So we have Awakening Your Unique Self, we have Reclaiming Eros, and our members are actually right now creating study groups together. So it's really lovely to meet each other, to deepen your knowledge of the Dharma and deepen your practice as well. So you are so welcome to join us. I really hope that you will step in right now and become a member so I can get to know you and love you even more. Thank you so much. And with that, I give my words back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Lady Krista. Thank you, everyone, right? Let us be love, right? Let us be the evolution of love, right? Together, right? And Christina Amla and Suzette are just gonna bring everyone on. Everyone wants to say hi and just see each other's faces, right? And hold each other in the heartbreaking moment. But I just want to understand, this was a heartbreaking moment of injustice made visible, and it's happening every day. So let's stand, right? Let's stand, let's say enough. Let's take our unique risk, right? In the most glorious, right? Beautiful, gorgeous, courageous way, right? Together, holding hands. Yay. Have the most deep and transforming, right, and beautiful, right, and heart-opening week in the world. And oh my God, thank you, everyone. Thank you. Ciao.